What's going on, everybody? Chump Change XD here. Hope you're all staying healthy, having a great day. In this video, we're going to be building a 13 card GPU mining rig. There's going to be 12 A2000s on this AAAWAVE sluice mining frame. And in addition to that, we're going to be adding this A4000. I'm going to be taking it off of the CPU mining wall, and we are going to be including it into the actual rig build we have over here. So let's go over what we have for parts, and I'm just going to explain to you guys that may be new to the channel that don't know how to build a mining rig, the parts that you need and everything else. So let's start off by talking about the PSU. So what we're going to be using in this build is a server PSU. This is an HP 1200 watt server PSU. It is only good for 900 watts off of 120 volts, but it is good for 1200 watts off of 240, which would be your standard PDU. We're gonna accompany that with the ZSX breakout board. This ZSX breakout board is available over at parallelminer.com. I have an affiliate link down in the description below. This breakout board more or less will fill the need for any standard motherboard by having the 24-pin power supply, Molex connections, and the PCIe slots for all of your GPUs. This breakout board also comes with this 24-pin cable and all of the necessary attachments for hooking up your motherboard, just so you guys know. This is going to be the perfect board for this build, only because these A2000s right here do not have any type of PCIe connection on the top of the actual unit. So it is fed directly from the GPU riser. Let's talk about GPU risers. So right here, we're going to be using the AAAWAVE riser from AAAWAVE.com. Again, we do have a link down in the description below. I do not make any money off of it. It is just a coupon code for you guys for a few dollars off. So feel free to go over there and use that. So you are going to need a riser for each one of your GPUs. So we have 13 of those right here in a pile. I'm going to be putting 8 of these GPU risers fans, the 120 millimeter fans. They have the white ring light. They look absolutely killer on these black mining frames. So we're going to be using those. There's 8 of those there. This motherboard we're using right here is an ASRock H110 Pro BTC Plus 13 GPU motherboard. I don't recommend anybody spending the crazy money that these things are going for right now. I picked these up for $35 a piece beginning of 2020. They're now going for upwards of $500. It's absolutely insane. Please don't spend that kind of money. You don't need it. You can use a regular motherboard with some sort of 4-way splitter. I can leave a link to those down in the description below as well. They're sold over at AAAWAVE and I believe Parallel Miner, if I'm not mistaken, but I know they're definitely over at AAAWAVE. Okay, so now what we're going to load on this system is HiveOS, and we're going to be using an M.2. This right here is a mini SSD that goes directly on the board into this M.2 slot. The processor here is a LGA 1151 G3930 that is already installed on this motherboard. If you guys don't know how to install a CPU, please go check out my first CPU mining rig build. I walk through step by step exactly how to install a CPU. And then right here on the motherboard, we do have some Ripsaw DDR4 RAM. You don't need much. I believe that's an 8GB stick already installed on the motherboard. Literally, it's just a push to click. Again, check out that CPU build video and you guys will see how to install one of those pieces of RAM. And then last but not least, we have the iFixit kit and the M.2 SSD enclosure. This is what you will need to be able to flash HiveOS onto this M.2 from your main PC. So totally a necessity. I will leave links to all of this stuff down below in the description, minus the GPUs. Obviously, you guys are going to be purchasing your own GPUs. Everybody's situation is going to be a little different. I mean, GPUs, obviously, you guys know, are very scarce at this point. I ordered these about 2 months ago and they finally came in last week. Now it's time to get these things built. First thing we're going to do is install this into the motherboard. I actually just flashed HiveOS onto it. If you guys don't know how to do this, I can make a separate video. It wouldn't be a long one. It's actually pretty simple to add a rig. I do have a noob's guide to HiveOS, so feel free to check that out, but I will be making a new guide very soon. So first thing we got to do, install this here. Literally just a Phillips head screw, and that's that. So now what we'll do is take this actual motherboard. All right, so everything is screwed in to the motherboard, so that's installed. Now, next thing I'm gonna do is actually just take this server PSU. I'm gonna put this together and I'm gonna get these cables plugged into the motherboard so this stuff's like out of my way so I have room to open up all the GPUs. So that is pretty much it. Server PSU is in place, the 24 pin is plugged in to the motherboard, and then the CPU cable comes off of that 24 pin, rides over and gets plugged in right there. This Molex by SATA that they give you, you actually don't really need to use unless you want to power some fans off of this or something. I used to power the actual H110 off of it, this Molex right here and this one right here. But with the new BIOS update on the H110s, you really don't need to do that anymore. So I'm just going to disregard this for the time being. Let's open these GPUs. So I just pulled this one out of the package here. It was more or less under the saran wrap right there. I had to pull out the insert and slide it out. This actually came with all of the cables inside of it. So these cables are for like the display ports that go on the end of this card. Not that you're ever going to use this for anything like that. So honestly, you can just disregard it. But one thing I do want to mention, this comes with two faceplates, okay? This is a taller one and a shorter one is already installed on the actual unit. So if you can tell the difference right there, it's pretty significant. And you're going to need the taller one when you go to put this on the rig. Or I could take this and flip it upside down so the screw ports are down here, and either screw it up from the bottom, or I could just put it on the lip upside down, but I don't know, the AAAWAVE would be upside down. All right, so I am going to actually do all of these. As you can see, I put rubber gloves on. There is a peel that you do need to do in the middle of this. This entire top and the bottom actually has wicked shiny plastic. it literally will just pull off any fingerprints you touch it with. So let's open one of these risers right here, and we'll slap it on one of these cards so we can see what it looks like. Look at that. That is so small. All right, let's let me get this one mounted. Again, I'm gonna get all of these built up with the risers on them. And again, there is no 6-pin on these cards. Literally, it's just a 6-pin on the riser and it powers the entire thing. So let me get this all situated and I'll be back in just a second. I voted against throwing the fans on first. Just for people that don't know, USB goes into the riser. Then the other end of the USB obviously goes into the 1X connection. Then you're gonna take a 6-pin male by 6-pin male. It's gonna plug in to the riser, and then you're going to plug it into the actual breakout board. So I'm gonna wire this entire thing up because it would be easier for me to do so without the fans in the way. Okay, everything's plugged in. I have all the 6 pins plugged into the breakout board. I have all the USBs plugged into the actual motherboard. As you can see, I left the 16X slot open because I'm going to be putting in the A4000 that's right here. So that GPU is gonna sit right here, and I'm going to run a display off of that one into a mini 7-inch Kuman screen right on the face of this rig. So let me throw the fans on. So what do you think? Everything's all cable managed. We got the A2000s all built up. Super excited to plug this thing in. All right, I'm like sitting here debating if I should actually unplug that A4000 that's working perfectly fine right now, or should I just leave it? I'm debating. I think I'm gonna leave it for right now, only because I want to get all of these A2000s up and running, and then once I get this rig stable and I know it's good, I can always add that in and put the screen on it later. So what I'm gonna do right now is let's bring this downstairs. We're gonna throw this on that monster rack inside the grow tent. We're gonna plug in the C13, C14 cable into the PDU, into that PSU, and we are going to be hooking up the Ethernet cable directly to the network switch. We'll make sure we set the overclocks. I want to see how many watts this thing's pulling. It should be super efficient. So let's hope for the best. Let's carry this thing downstairs. All right, so we made it, and I think that's the best place for it. So I got 3 on the top, 2 on the middle, and 1 on the bottom for now. I do need to add the other fans. I only have one 8-inch, so I've been leaving this door open, and my 2 basement windows open as well. So the cool air can just come in here and get sucked through the house. It basically warms up before it gets up into my first floor to heat the house. So this is all plugged in. I have the internet going. We should be good to go. Let's just turn this thing on and make sure everything works. All right, let's go get into Hive OS. I want to make sure this thing is starting up. We'll get the overclock set and we'll see what each card's pulling. All right, so joke's on me. I need to see what's coming up on the screen because it is not booting into Hive OS. So I think it's either locked into the BIOS or I need to type something in to make it do the first runs. So I stole the screen and the keyboard along with a HDMI by display port or whatever that is. And I guess we're gonna unhook this A4000 because now we need it. And that's gonna be what is going to display on the screen. At least that's the hope. So let's do it. All right, so I just slapped one of the AAAWAVE risers on it because all the other ones are AAAWAVE. I flipped this thing around and look at the oil seepage. This thing's not that old. Those thermal pads are deteriorating like nothing else. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm super happy that I actually was just forced to put this screen on. I've never plugged the display into the A4000, so let's see if it registers. Oh, and look at that. Okay, so that's why I need to plug in the Molex on this board. So some H110s, as you guys can see, I think it depends on the BIOS, like the date of the BIOS when it was built. You need to plug in the Molexes, so I'm gonna do that right now. So I got the Molex plugged in, the two Molexes on the board. Now let's fire it up. All right, so check this out. We have 554 mega hash, just about 41 across the board for all the A2000s and 63.63 on the A4000. These are the clocks for you guys wondering. We're doing 130 watts of the software basically for the A4000, 1300 core, 3500 memory, and 140 on the power limit. We have about 70 watts in the A2000s, 1000 on the core, 2800 on the memory, and 70 on the power limit. So let's check the rig out. And she's cranking away, 500 mega hash. You know what, I kind of want to throw a power meter on this and see what that's pulling. Just for the hell of it, why not? So mind you, inside Hive OS, this shows about 1,020 watts once it's fully mining. I want to see how far off it is. All right, so 550 mega hash, we're looking at about 1,130 watts. So it's roughly 100 watts higher than it says inside Hive OS. So yeah, I'm absolutely stunned. 550 mega hash on that. We're getting right around 1,150 watts now. So you know what? 1,150 watts, that's still like insanely good. I can't even believe it. And look at the amount of cards I have in this tent. I really need to get these other fans hooked up. But guys, appreciate each and every single one of you for watching. Please don't forget, hit that like and subscribe on the way out. And I'll see you guys real soon. Peace.